Earnings All Stars videos. As you know, it's a busy time at the beginning of earnings season now, and this week is no exception. Over 1,500 companies reporting. I look through not all the lists, but most of the list to check and see what are the hottest stocks this week. And yes, some stocks are still hot, even with the overall market weakness. What are they? Let's dive in and see. So the first one out of the gate, as you can see here on my screen, is Builders First Source, ticker BLDR. They are the Builders First Source. Home builders go to them, and they're a big retail chain, any kind of renovation companies, things like that. And so they are big because construction is big on the home building side. As you can see, look at this chart. They are an all-star, no misses for the last 5 years. That includes the pandemic years. So this is truly impressive. And look at the stock chart year to date, up 64%, even with this big turn down right here that we've seen on the stock weakness. Over the last month, it's down about 15%. But maybe that's a buying opportunity because the share's only trading at 7.8 times forward. This last beat was another massive one, 44%. We've had 3 big ones in a row. This was 81, and this one here, 35%. And it's a lot of that is because the analysts simply think, oh, the home building side must be slowing a bit. And it has slowed over the peak, but it hasn't slowed as much as everyone has thought. So it slowed, but earnings have trickled back up here as 2023 has gone forward. But what are the 8% mortgage rates doing? Are the home builders pulling back because the buyers are pulling back? This is the big story with Builders First Source. I own it in Zacks Value Investor, but not in my own personal portfolio. And as I said, it's cheap and it's got these great earnings surprise track record. We'll see what it does this quarter. The next stock is one of my favorites. I featured it on these videos the last couple of quarters. How could you not? It is among the hottest stocks out there, and it is e.l.f. Beauty. Ticker is e.l.f. It is the Zacks #1 rank going into this report. Only the one missed there in 2021 that you can see right there. And it wasn't much of one, just 8.3%. But since then, it's put in a string of beats and raises. It's beat and raised every quarter this year. And you can see these massive beats, even with the earnings surprise, even with the guidance raises, 89% there, 110% there, and 108.7% there at the start of the year. Now, these shares look a lot like Builders First Source. They surging this year, still up 85% year to date, but over the last month now down 6.9%. This stock is not cheap. It hasn't been at all this year. It's trading still at 41 times forward earnings. So maybe this pullback is warranted and expected, but we'll see what they report. Can they do it again? Can they beat and raise again? We'll see. Then we're going to switch it over to the drug side. Everybody thinks big pharma is kind of weak unless you have the weight loss drugs, and or you might get the weight loss drugs. And Eli Lilly kind of falls into that camp, and we see what's happening here. So not as good of an earnings surprise track record. It's a little rocky, but they have beat 3 out of the last 4. So I'm liking that. But this chart is red hot. Eli Lilly year to date now up 53% over the last month. It is also up 4.3. So you can see a little bit of a pullback there off of the 5-year highs, but not much. And these beats, little on the small size, but this is common for the drug companies because they usually just don't have like some kind of new surprising product that nobody knows about, right? Like that's where you get the massive beats, when there's questions there and the analysts don't really have their finger on the pulse. But the drug companies are very good at, analysts, management and investor days and things like that and telling everyone what is going on. Now, what about cheapness on this stock? It is, near those new 5-year highs. PE is 84 with Eli Lilly. Wow. I never thought I'd say that about a non-biotech, a PE of 84. Everybody's hot to trot to get into this one, but we'll see what they say on this quarter and if it can keep this momentum. Then we're going to switch over to travel. There's a lot of travel companies reporting this week, and there are hotel chains with Marriott also reporting. And we're going to get some of the, hotels where the timeshares. I was trying to get the word out. We're going to get some of them as well. So I am kind of interested to know what happens on the timeshare side of things with the economy starting to cool here. Is that cooling as well? But the one I chose is Booking Holdings, ticker BKNG, because it was trading at its 5-year high this year. I own Booking Holdings in my own personal portfolio. I bought years ago, and as you can see, it really hasn't done anything in this whole span. Even, sold off in the pandemic. It did rebound, but then it was kind of going nowhere here until this year when it finally had the breakout. It does have the good earnings surprise track record since it got kind of its act together when the pandemic first hit. If you recall, a lot of these online travel companies, they did lay off a big chunk of people because nobody was traveling anywhere. Their earnings got really crushed, but that has turned around. We have had the revenge travel and people going to Europe. Booking is big internationally. They are big in Europe and in Asia. So that should help them here. And now China is reopened too. Is that going to help them at all? We'll see in this quarter. So they put together 11 beats in a row. This last quarter was quite nice. And one of their bigger ones, as you can see, up 30% beat right there. And these shares year to date up 36.3%. And it did hit those new 5-year highs. But over the last month with this little sell-off here as on the market weakness, down 11%. It's not super expensive, believe it or not. Booking, one of the, favorites since the 1990s when it was Priceline. But Booking is trading at 19 times now. And maybe that's why you had this big period of just kind of treading water. The valuation had gotten too high in years prior, and really earnings catching up to the stock now and the street recognizing it with this big breakout. So what will happen this quarter? We're about to find out. Then I'm going to wrap it up with the stock that I kind of uncovered on one of the podcasts. I haven't featured it here ever, I don't recall, because it's one of the consulting groups, which is just kind of like an area for me. But here on Consulting Group, but look at this chart, only 2 misses in the last 5 years. That's impressive. But look at what it's doing here in 2023. A couple of big beats, including this last quarter, massive beat, 40%. And then we had a 29% beat the prior quarter. Shares are now breaking out with earnings estimates being revised much higher. Year to date, up 35%, obviously beating the S&P 500. It is at this 5-year high here, just like some of these others. That's how it made the list of the hottest stocks. And 1 month, it is pulled back there, but it's down just 5.8%. So not that big of a deal after this big run up. But this is one of the stocks that very few people are paying attention to or talking about, yet it's got this very hot momentum. So this is one I'm going to be tuning into for the first time this earnings week. You should too, ticker HURN. So as you can see, these 5 charts, even though some of them have had the weakness in this latest sell-off, are still among the hottest on the street. Some of them get the publicity, some of them don't. This is what's interesting about this earnings season, right? There are some hidden gems out there outside of the Magnificent Seven, some of which are not even that great on the Magnificent Seven. These charts are beating those charts. So you want to tune in to get all of these charts I'm bringing you every week. We're picking out the hottest, those with momentum, those with the best earnings track record, and these are them. It shouldn't really be a surprise that those that are hot also have good, solid earnings surprise track records. They do tend to go hand in hand. So be sure to get all of our videos here on Zacks. You can get them on our YouTube channel at zacks.com/YouTube. I'll also be tweeting them out, and I'll be tweeting out other charts for other stocks in addition to this because it's a busy week, over 1,500 reporting. And so tune in at my Twitter account at Tracy Reineck to get all of these charts. But I'll be back next week with some more stocks, and I'll see you then with some more earnings all-stars.